Do you? Speaking of robbing, there was a man who was killed over in Winton Hills. And from what I'm reading, he was a hardworking family man. It's a local story in the city of Cincinnati. A young brother, he was walking to work, I believe, at about 4 a.m., so he was an early riser, just like me, perhaps just like some of you. And he's walking home, and the next thing you know, somebody tries to rob him. At least this was the story he gave his father. Apparently, during the robbery attempt, he gets shot, I believe, like in the abdomen. Another black man just happens upon him, hears this man screaming for help. He takes the man back to his home. From what I gathered in the video this morning from his family, when they opened the door, he literally collapsed inward. So imagine that. Somebody knocking on the door frantically early in the morning, open the door. It's your son. It's your family member. You open the door, and as the door opens, they just fall inside. He was rushed to the hospital, but he died from his injuries. And from the report in which they talk with the father has some last moments with his son. Now, could you imagine that? I got a son. Many of you have children. You may have a son. You got a hardworking son with a grandson. You got a child on the way. I believe this man had a young child or a child on the way. And you knock on the door early in the morning. It's your son. He opens the door and he falls inside and later dies at the hospital. And see, this is one of those times when the community needs to come together. I don't give a damn how you feel about police. If you live in the city of Cincinnati, if you have any information, please contact them. Please contact them so we can apprehend these killers. So people just getting robbed like that now in the city of Cincinnati? What they rob them for? For what? How much did they get? I mean, if the man is walking, what does that tell you? He probably doesn't have a lot of money. Man's walking at 4 a.m. Did this man have a car? Was he just being frugal and taking public transportation? I don't know all the details. All I know is it's a very, very sad story. Very, very sad story. It's a local story here. Man shot overnight. Family left behind. I don't think I'm wrong when I say this, but I believe this man either had a child on the way or has recently become a father. Either way, there's a child involved. Now has to grow without a parent, without a father. A young black boy growing up in the streets of Cincinnati without a father. Yeah, that's what we need. What else? Idris was great in finding Dory. He was a sea lion. Hashtag cuteness. What? Deanna writes, good morning. Love the morning motivation. Thank you for saying that, Deanna. I think it's a good idea, too. We'll bring it back. Absolutely. When there's motivation. When there is motivation. John writes, I can make that where I work and have no time to spend it. To me, it's not living. I think teachers are underpaid, but I don't think that the dollars to pay them is from the same budget as the city. I agree. Teachers are underpaid. In fact, people who work with children in general are underpaid. Grossly underpaid. Grossly. I mean, really it's a travesty. It really is. That the people that raise our children on a regular basis, those daycare workers, those early childhood workers, people who are working with young children, typically what you're going to find is that they don't make a lot of money. And it's just so counterintuitive because if those type of jobs paid more, then those type of jobs would attract a different type of prospective employee, which means that our children are going to be surrounded by the very best. I'm not saying they aren't right now. I'm just saying that if it was under my abilities, I would make sure those individuals were compensated more handsomely, quite honestly. There's a lot of folks in our society. I mean, really things are upside down. If you can catch a football, bounce a basketball, throw a baseball, you can make a lot of money in this culture. If you give a damn about children and are willing to commit your life works to the development of youth, it's hit or miss. Hit or miss. Kiki writes, first, related to Akon, animals breed, humans create. Secondly, hell, we all need to be making more money. See, Kiki, I love you. I listen, I love all the women in the shop. I love you. I really do. But I can tell that what Brother Akon, that's Brother Akon, okay, give that man his damn respect. He ain't no damn Drake. He ain't no damn Teddy Riley. That's Akon, man. He's bringing light to Africa. Brother Akon. I can tell that what Brother Akon is saying is just not, well, it just feels like he's right. Women just can't accept that. Now, I don't know what accepting that really means. Does that mean that, like, the chick that was Lil Wayne's ex, she got with a dude, a producer named Memphis Hits, who we found out was accused of being basically a domestic abuser. There's another woman out there who claims that basically he beat her up. He was abusing her. Okay, K. Michelle. And so I just watched the clip where this dude went completely off on television. I mean, just went completely off on this sister to the point where if the cameras were not there, you can tell. He would have went in her mouth right then and there. Right then and there. I think they were sitting there. There's a lot of people around, and she was trying her best to act like, this Nick Wah better not put his hands on me. And dude's throwing stuff around the table, knocking stuff off, talking to his woman in front of everybody. So if he's flipping off like that with cameras rolling, can you imagine what it's like when the cameras are not rolling? I can't even imagine it. But come on. Animals breed. I mean, breed is just a word. Okay? It just means procreate. Okay, that's all he's trying to say. Avery writes, the surrounding community's officer pay is always going to be higher because they have to compete with the city for the best officers. I bet that there is a big difference in the benefits such as health care, retirement, etc. Interesting point. So you're saying that the Norwoods, Springdales, or other places, they've got to offer more of a salary just to attract officers there in the first place. So what you're saying is that, let's say the Cincinnati police officer pay went up to, let's say they went up to 75. Okay, they're making 75 as a base. That the surrounding police officers are going to end up making more still just to be competitive. So it becomes like, it becomes like a race to the top. Okay. Woody writes, Kim is like Trump. She has 3 husbands. Okay. Woody writes, Juan is weak on the 5. They run all over him. They try. I've seen Juan stick up for the president and stick up, quite frankly, for common sense when it was relevant, when he needed to do so. Okay. Nuri writes, haha, Nate said, you light-skinned, you got gray eyes. Haha. That's right. Yeah, the people on the Fox was like, why is Jesse Williams so upset? You're light-skinned, bro. You got gray eyes. You hit the jackpot. Cha-ching. You hit the jackpot. Somebody accept that. Ed writes, that's a sad story, Nate. Man getting robbed. When I hear stories like that, I always ask, where was God to protect him? Shaking my damn head. It's a good point. Where was G.O.D.? I don't know. Kiki writes, I love you also, Mr. Ivey. I'm cool with Brother Akon. It's all good if one has the means to create. However, if you're out here with limited dollars, then pause all of that. I'm with you on that one. I mean, if you got fat pockets and you can afford all those kids, you go right ahead. If you don't, think about it. Think about it. Brent writes, I think cops' pay should be universal as it applies to base pay. They all have basically the same responsibilities, generally, unless they have specialities, for example, CSI or investigations, which may require more education and or experience and time on the job. Raises should be incremental based on inflation and seniority on the job. They are no different than people that are in the private sector. Well, there's one difference. They carry guns and people shoot at them. When there is an emergency situation, people call them, which means they're on the scene for a lot of dangerous situations. I mean, there's some differences now. But let me continue. He writes, it's a job and doesn't require any special treatment. You also have to consider the size of the city being served. The tax base and manpower required to police it determines salaries. Urban versus suburban. Okay. Rhonda writes, you get what you pay for. Daycare workers on normal get paid minimum wages, $8.10 to take care of children. Most daycare workers cannot afford the daycare they work at, and people are screaming about McDonald's workers being underpaid, but no one is screaming about child care workers being underpaid. No one except for me. Like I said, I spent many years in youth development as the director of an after school, and then we created a before school program. And one of the biggest issues that I had was finding good staff. Because at what we were offering, it was very difficult for me to find the type of candidate that I would feel comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? Because who you let into your workplace, that initial hire means everything. It means everything. So I've been there in that situation, trying to find qualified folks, and you want to pay them minimum wage. And you're dealing with a dozen, maybe 20 or so children, all with competing interests and voices and issues and parents and backgrounds and needs and wants. That's hefty. But again, our society's upside down. It's upside down. If somehow people could learn how to watch kids and play basketball for the Lakers, hey, big money then. Other than that, nobody gives a damn. Kiki writes, no, Mr. Ivey, that's what the people who enslaved our ancestors said, because they felt that we were not animals. They felt that they felt that we're not humans. They felt that we're animals. Okay, I got it. I mangled that. Sorry, Kiki, but I got the point. You're right, but that's different from what Akon is saying. What Akon is saying is that, here's what he's saying. Let me break this down. What Akon is saying is that if you meet a man, and by every indication, including his actions, you understand that he is not in a place to be monogamous, don't try to force him to put a ring on it. That's what that means. It's just that simple. If you meet a man and he is just not available to be that knight in shining armor, because right now, okay, he's like the cat's meow, he's got a lot of women, you ain't going to stop that. Okay, nothing you're going to do going to stop it. I don't care how good your il nana is in the way that God created men. What's it saying, the best men? There's no il nana like new il nana. Okay, so once he gets to il nana, you can no longer deliver new il nana. It's real simple. This is simple. Simple. But what happens, and I've observed this many times, is that women will get with these men and they love the fact that he got different women and that he's the kind of man that other women are attracted to, but they can't handle everything else that goes with it. So they try to change him. You want to lock him down. You want to tell him your sad story. How could you cheat on me after I told you I was cheated on by all these other men? Nobody cares. Honestly, no one cares about that. And so that's what the point of what Akon is saying. Okay? And a lot of people, women, I think there's men like that as well, they cannot accept that. It's like, no, I'm going to make you into who I want you to be, damn it. And then I'm going to get mad as hell at you when you end up being who you've always said that you were. Wait a minute. Somebody's making a mistake here. You tell me who it is. Brent writes, who gets the lion's share of that money for daycare cost if the workers' salaries are so damn low? Maybe, well, it depends. If it's a private business, the business owner wants to go home with some profit. And then I don't know what the overhead would be in terms of owning and operating a daycare. I do not know. Yeah, new nana. Avery writes, new nana. Interesting. Yeah. Come on now. Kiki writes, that's okay, Mr. Ivey. And okay, I see now what you're speaking about. Basically, if he is not ready to commit, then he doesn't exclusively belong to one another, right? Exactly. That's all it is. And then I believe that Akon was kind of saying, like, listen, this is in a man. Like, for instance, I just seen a movie. I just saw this movie within the last 24 hours. And I'm watching this movie and doing like 3 other things, but it kind of caught my attention, so I watched all of it, okay? It's a movie, and the title is, it's called Knock Knock. Have you seen this movie, Knock Knock? Like, knock, knock, who is it? Open the door and find out. Like, Knock Knock, that's the name of the movie. It was released in 2015, and it stars Keanu Reeves. He's older now, he's dyeing his hair, and it's very evident to tell And Keanu Reeves, man, he does great work. I mean,